and welcome to We the People Taking Back Our Power. I'm Yasmin Attar and this is my YouTube channel, Dr. Attar. This is the 5th video in my series. Today's topic is our political mind and why we like to be deceived. I'm continuing what I introduced in the last video about George Lakoff's book, The Political Mind, regarding our political values. I'm also introducing related psychological concepts of self-deception and self-justification. I hope you had a chance to watch the 26-minute interview with Robert Reich and George Lakoff on YouTube. I also hope you remember the quotes from Dr. Lakoff that I showed at the end credits of the last video. It's a great way to learn more about Dr. Lakoff, the Cliff Notes version, if you will. Do you believe that our politics is based on policy positions, that it is rational and reasonable? A major concept of Lakoff's book is that our political thinking is mostly unconscious and not based on logic and reason. Our words may say we are going on policy positions, but the subtitles say something else. I'm not a gynecologist. I just don't think that any of the men candidates are any good. Google it. You'll find plenty of bad stuff on them. This is not about sexism or gysogyny or misogyny. It's just about what's right and wrong. We all do it. How do our values affect our politics? Lakoff talks about how we view the world through narratives and metaphors. When I think about it, I realize that's how we frame our world most of the time. Chapter 1 is about Anna Nicole Smith, and I'm sure you're wondering, Anna Nicole Smith? Her narrative is the rags to riches story. Other examples of narratives are Superman, the hero, the villain, the battle of the hero against the villain, the rescue of the victim by the hero, the triumph of good over evil. These narratives and metaphors become hardwired in our brains and affect how we see the world and interpret information. This is mostly happening in ways we are not consciously aware of. As I said in the 4th video, these largely unconscious processes are how we form our political thoughts, which are closely tied to our values. So what about our values? We form our values early in our lives. What our parents or caregivers or whoever we were with at that time believe is communicated to us in many ways, and we absorb these beliefs that are expressed. The words may not be used, but the ideologies and metaphors are present. So what are examples of these values or moral beliefs? In the previous video, I showed you some examples. Humility, courage, individualism, compassion, loyalty, forgiveness, community, service, respect, and gratitude. When you hear these words, what does it evoke in you? Do you remember how these values or beliefs were instilled in you? You may remember being told, say thank you. So the value expressed is gratitude or thankfulness, what some people would call being polite. Or you were told to give money at church, so the value expressed is generosity and helping others. Another example of values are justice and dignity. Some people grow up believing a person deserves to have dignity and respect, or that we have to work hard to get our rewards in life. So our political values emerge from this process of acquiring values. Our political beliefs become part of who we are, mostly without us realizing it. So how does all this happen? Lakoff presents 2 dominant models of family values that are involved in the way our political thoughts develop. The strict father model and the nurturant parent model. In the strict father morality, the father is the moral leader of the family and must be obeyed. Mommy can't protect the family. The strict father needs to protect the family from evil in the world. Children are born bad and must be disciplined in order to learn right from wrong. This family model emphasizes internal discipline, leading to self-reliance and prosperity. Anyone raised with this type of moral view of the family will most probably become a strict father person themselves. As a woman, you may marry someone with similar values and raise your children the same way. In politics, the strict father view is considered conservatism and is concerned with authority, obedience, discipline, and punishment. In the nurturant parent morality, two parents have equal responsibilities. This model stresses empathy, responsibility for oneself and others, and the strength to carry out those responsibilities. It is the opposite of indulgence. In the nurturant parent model, you raise children to care about others, take care of themselves and others, and to lead fulfilling lives. In the nurturant parent household, discipline is positive and is used to instill responsibility. Nurturance is setting limits with an explanation. It is about mutual respect. You make restitution, you're not punished. The purpose is to develop empowerment of children, dedication to community life. In politics, this nurturant parent view is called liberalism and is concerned with protection, empowerment, community, and it's gender neutral. Is this helpful? I hope this breakdown is helpful to you. It is certainly helpful for me to look at political thinking in terms of these moral values. The strict father compared to the nurturant parent certainly sheds light on how and why we believe the way we do with regards to politics. Here is an example I like to give about how we learn our political values early in life. I voted for John Kennedy. My kindergarten teacher held an election and had us draw an X if we wanted Richard Nixon and an oval if we wanted John Kennedy. My sister and I ran home and excitedly told my mother that we had voted for the handsome Mr. Kennedy. Apparently, our live-in au pair who took care of me and my sister was not too pleased, according to my mother. I think she was a Nixon person. Here is a picture of us with Mrs. Wright. She was a nice lady. So you see, my parents had not explicitly told us that we should support John Kennedy, at least as far as I can remember. But somehow we knew what their values were and voted accordingly. So do you have any memories of the first time you voted? If you would like to share, please describe them in the comments section. So why is it so hard for us to change our way of thinking, especially our political thinking? I believe it is precisely because we form these values so early in our lives that we have a difficult time changing them or even seeing things from another perspective. Other factors are at play here as well. Self-deception and self-justification. In 2012, Dan Kahan and his colleagues at Yale Law School studied how our political viewpoint affects the way we interpret data. People with different levels of math skills were shown tables of numbers and asked to draw causal inferences depending on whether it was presented as the result of testing on a new skin treatment cream or crime statistics following a handgun ban. They found that conclusions were accurately made when it was skin lotion data, but not when it was politically charged information on gun control. It turns out that people will misinterpret data that doesn't align with their political position, and those with the strongest math skills actually made the greatest errors. These subjects use their math skills to conform the data to their political outlook. So people actually see what we want to see when it comes to our political thinking. Here's an example I like to use. If I were to show this graph to a Trump supporter and tell that person, this depicts economic performance under the Obama administration, that person would say, see, Obama killed jobs and was bad for the economy. And if I showed that same Trump supporter this graph and said, this is economic performance under Donald Trump, that person would say, see, Donald Trump grew the economy and was good, and created jobs. Conversely, if I showed this graph to an Obama supporter and told that person, this is economic performance under Donald Trump's presidency, that person would say, see, Donald Trump killed jobs and he was bad for the economy. And if I showed that Obama supporter this graph and said, this depicts economic performance under Obama administration. That person would say, see, Obama created jobs and grew the economy. On another note, psychologists Carol Tavris and Elliot Aronson wrote a book, Mistakes Were Made, but Not by Me, originally published in 2007, and the second edition was published in 2015, about people's tendency to justify our own behavior while being acutely aware of how wrong it may be when others do the exact same behavior. It's an extension of Leon Festinger's cognitive dissonance theory. This is such a popular theory, the public seems to be generally aware of it, even by name. So what is cognitive dissonance? When we make a decision or do something, the human tendency is to keep it consistent with our beliefs. Even when that action or belief is inconsistent in reality, we justify it in our minds because the alternative to acknowledge its inconsistency is uncomfortable. This is an especially strong process when that action or belief is in line with what we were raised to believe. To admit it is a mistake is difficult. That would be akin to saying our parents were wrong or God is wrong. Most people get too uncomfortable with this level of self-scrutiny, and we persist in erroneous beliefs or even engage in actions that consistently harm us. It's almost as if we have to keep doing it because the cost of admitting our mistake is too high. This system is maintained while we engage in activities that are inconsistent with our beliefs. For example, being against capital punishment but eating meat, or being for the protection of wild animals or animals and eating meat. Ultimately, we believe we are justified in what we do. I'm the one doing it, so it's justified. You doing it is wrong, however. Where have I heard that before? Is this helpful to know? I find it helpful to know the information that I have just shared with you. The strict father morality, the nurture and parent morality, self-deception, self-justification. It helps me understand why we vote the way we do, so often against our own interests. I don't know whether you have noticed, but I am big on understanding. It's my profession, psychology, after all. Understanding something is not the same as saying you are for it or against it. We often get the two confused. And I believe it is important to at least note the difference. I like to believe we can have a common dialogue if we focus on understanding each other rather than blaming and accusing. As you recall, one of my rules for this site is that we engage in positive dialogue and be respectful. Not that I don't get heated and go off track sometimes. I'm really passionate about this topic. But displaying such negativity won't get me anywhere productive. Here is an example of understanding. I recently watched an interviewer on CNN talking to a panel of people who had voted for Trump. She wanted to find out how they currently felt about Trump since he had been in the presidency for 2 years. There was an African-American man who said in the previous election he had voted for Obama simply because Obama is black. And the man admitted it was a racist vote, his words. The gentleman said he voted for Trump because he wanted Trump to do something about illegal immigrants. We should take care of our own people before worrying about others from foreign lands, or something to that effect. There was a Caucasian woman who said illegal immigrants at our borders hire children to pose as theirs to get in. Can we change any of these people's viewpoints by telling them the truth? I don't know. The interviewer attempted to provide facts to dispute some of the strongly held views expressed, which the African-American gentleman refused to believe. They will manipulate data any way they want. That's what he said. What type of a dialogue can we have with those who hold such viewpoints, if any? I always like to break down what the other person thinks. Again, not to justify it, but to understand it. Okay, the African-American gentleman. He probably feels disenfranchised. We should take care of our own before others. Does it matter that Trump has done nothing to help African Americans and most likely will not? I don't think so. Trump is doing what this man wanted, protecting our border. Even if Trump fails, at least he tried, and that's probably all this gentleman cares about at this point. The woman who believed that refugees and undocumented immigrants at our borders hire children to pose as theirs. Will it help to tell her this is a lie? Probably not. She wants them out no matter what, and to attribute malevolent motives to them most likely helps her justify in her mind that they should be kept out. Does any of this help us? I'm not sure. I like to believe that we could still have a common dialogue, but what exactly is that? And I still believe we have to tell the truth. We must dispel lies and myths. So I'm going to end the video here, and I'm going to make the next video immediately following this one. In the sixth video, the next one, I will talk about potential ways to change people's viewpoints. So to recap, today I talked about our political mind and how it is formed from our values. I talked about self-deception and how we trick our brains with information that is inconsistent with our values. I talked about self-justification and why we think it is okay to do something while considering it unacceptable when others do it. Do you have any ideas you would like to share? Or do you believe we simply have to move on from these individuals? Write them off. Please contact me and let me know. I'm inviting positive dialogue and ideas. I hope to hear from you soon. Please use the comments section and don't forget to click the like button if you enjoyed this video. Thank you.